The liberals would be excited because it's not going to happen. I also like those type of jokes, not too much of the political humor. It's a little dangerous talking about politics in today's world. I think that it's splitting us up as a country, especially this idea of the wall, like that has some people want it, some people don't want it, right? I have this idea that would like appease everyone. Trump should have hired a bunch of Polynesians to build the wall. It's like the conservatives would be excited because there's a plan, they're gonna get a wall, right? The liberals would be excited because it's not gonna happen. It's okay that I make that joke, because I am a Polynesian. Yeah, a few of us. Yeah, get ready to hate the next 10 minutes. For real though, I am a Polynesian. I was born right here in the US, which means I am a Mexican. I see a few of you noticed. You get people that ask me if I speak Spanish a lot. I always get that. I was like, oh, yo habla español? And I always have to respond, no, I do not habla español, but every now and then I do yo quiero a Taco Bell. What I'm saying is I like your food. I had one guy that got mad at me too. He was like, you don't ever speak Spanish, get in touch with your roots and respect your heritage. So I pulled my fire knife out and I cut off his arm and I started to eat it. It's my heritage. That's what people did. I do think that it's partially our fault as minorities, though, for confusing everyone else and making you think that we're all Hispanic. Recently, I went to a birthday party for my Asian friend Hector. It's a math joke. But I pulled him aside and I was like, Hector, how did you get your name? And he was like, oh, my parents wanted me to seem more American. I guess that explains the piñata full of rice in the tree. Two races with that joke. I get confused for a lot of different races. I think the weirdest race I have ever been confused for, though, was Italian, right? Some guy was like, Fonokalafi, and I was like, that's a weird way to say it. He's like, you Italiano? I was like, no, I'm not Italian, sir. And he's like, yes, what part of Italiano are you from? I'm like, not Italian, sir. He's like, you like a spicy meatball? And I was like, I'm not. Yeah. Now I'm part Italian. Like I said, I'm a Polynesian. I'm actually a hybrid Polynesian, which is more fuel efficient. It's a fart joke for those that missed that. What that actually means is my dad is Tongan and my mom is Samoan, which makes me a steroid. Genetically speaking, and I just bought a pickup truck, so apparently I own a moving company. Really irritating. It does though. I used to get irritated a lot when my dad, or when my friends would ask me to help them move from one house to another, an apartment. It used to irritate me. I told my dad about that irritation. My dad gave me some really great advice. You guys can try this out. He said, make service a game. You never feel like you're working. So that's a good idea. So now when I help my friends move, whenever they leave the room, I write bathroom on all their boxes. Fun for me later. But we should look for types of service that we can do for people. Whenever I see people taking a family picture with a cell phone, I always run up and offer to take the picture for them because that person should be in the family picture, right? And while they're getting ready, I switch it to the inside cam and see how many selfies I could take. 47. It's like the idea of them looking at their phone and like, that is a really good, who the crap is that? 47 times. 47. Come from a big Polynesian family, quite literally a huge family. Like I was flipping through a photo album of a family reunion I went to a couple years ago. It took me like 20 minutes to realize it was a gorilla issue of National Geographic. Which is a joke. I like telling those kind of jokes. My dad hates when I make fun of the family, especially when I make fun of him. Like one time he couldn't hear what my mom was saying. He was like, "What?" His mom repeated herself. He was like, "What?" Mom's about to repeat herself again. I was like, "No, wait, Mom, I got this. Dad." She said, "Hoo-ha, hoo-ha, hoo-ha." Because he's Tongan. It was also the day I realized I could run faster than my dad. I don't know if you guys ever seen a Tongan run once they get their arms into it. It's just... Just gonna do it till everyone gets it. That's the type of person my dad was. Like he tried to raise me right and teach me these strong moral lessons, right? These strong life lessons. Sat me down one day and he was like, "Joshua, violence is not the answer. Violence is never the answer. Violence is how you get the answer." Remember that. He also taught me about stranger danger. You guys remember stranger danger when you were growing up? And things like don't get in cars with strangers. So one day I was walking home from school and this car pulled up and he was like, "Hey kid, you need a ride?" And I was like, "No, I'm just going out here." And I walked up to a house and knocked on the door. The door opened, I got in. Because in my head it made sense. The only thing safer than getting in a strange car with a stranger was to get in a strange house with a stranger. Just skip the car ride and go straight to the headquarters is what I was really thinking. But I went home and I told my dad that story. My dad, super comforting, just looked at me and he said, "Nobody wants you." I didn't even want you. Which is sad. But it's kind of true because I saw my birth certificate. Josh is actually my nickname. My real name is Oh No, Please No. No, please. Josh is condensed from. Sometimes people recognize me as a Polynesian, like right off the bat. They think that they're asking me one question, but they're asking me a totally different, like they're always the same question. Like one guy come up and he was like, he thought he was asking, "Excuse me, but what is the origin of your heritage?" What he really asked was, "What are you?" I don't know. It's a good question. Some guy after a show one time came up and he was like, "Hey, you one of them Pacific Islanders?" Yep. Right straight from the Pacific Ocean. Just right in the middle of the general ocean. I was hanging out with some cousins of mine. My cousins were bragging about all their white friends. They were like, "Oh, they get so excited when we do the weirdest things." They're like, pull out the ukulele and they're like, "Oh, they're gonna play the ukulele." And they play the ukulele and sing. And they're like, "I jump off the high rocks." And they're like, "Oh, he's jumping off the high rocks." It made me really excited and I ran home and I found all my friends and I was like, "Dudes, we need a Polynesian friend." And they were like, "Josh, you are the Polynesian friend." And I was like, "Oh, yeah. You guys want to go see Moana?" And they were like, "Yeah!" And Polynesians do the craziest stuff. That's because I don't know very much about my culture. I'm not very in tune with it, which means certain questions that I have about my culture are things that I don't understand. Like I don't get if we're supposed to be a warrior nation, why do we dance around in flower necklaces and grass skirts? Like that's Not threatening. And why would the biggest people in the world invent the smallest guitar? People think it's weird when they find out that my name is Joshua. So my dad's name is Tupo, and I have a sister named Lucila, and a brother named Latu, and I'm Joshua. It's actually Josh. I added the UA a couple years ago to make it sound more Polynesian. Pronounce it correctly, it's actually Josh. Hoo-ha! Accent mark on it. It gets me in trouble not knowing very much about my culture, like especially the languages. This lady in the mall came up to me one time and she was like, "Oh, excuse me, I was just wondering, are you Polynesian or are you a Mexican?" Because I'm actually half Tongan and half Samoan. And she was like, "Oh, well, talofa and mololele," which is the two greetings in those languages. Then she started talking one of the languages that I don't even know. I just sat there the whole time staring at her thinking, man, I should have just said Mexican. Whatever makes you go away, lady, that's what I am. Let's switch gears for a second here. I'm gonna try something a little different. It's called the homeless joke sets. They're not about homeless people. They're jokes that don't have homes anywhere in my set, so I just put them together and I read them off on these note cards. So we're gonna try this out for tonight. All right, so here we go, the homeless joke set. So Einstein and Sigmund Freud were having a conversation, and Freud was talking about interfamily romantic relationships, and Einstein said, "It's all relative." So that's a tester joke to see where you know what, we're gonna just switch here. So, these might be a little better. So Mario and Luigi were having a conversation. And Luigi says, "Hey Mario, how come you like a toad more than me?" And Mario said, "'Cause he's such a fun guy." One time when I was leaving the store, right on the curb, there was this lady holding a cardboard sign, and I felt really bad for her. And I got a little closer. As I was reaching for my wallet, I got closer and I read the sign, and it said, "I lost everything but my faith, and that's all I need." And I was like, "Oh, good, because I was going to give you $1." That was actually about a homeless person. That's supposed to be in a different place. I don't have multiple personality disorder. I do. She liked it. Do you guys know what the British call toothpaste? Maybe later. It's because their teeth are... I was in math class one time, and I learned that the circumference of one of your fingers correlates directly with the diameter of one of your nostrils. Which I didn't learn that from math class. I was just in math class when I learned that. I don't know how many of you guys have ever been like talking to someone and halfway through your sentence you realize that you didn't breathe enough to finish that sentence. It's an indicator of how you know you have to lose weight. I was in the store one time and this guy stopped me and he started yelling at me like he got offended at something I said. And then he called me a homophobe. And then I got mad because I'm not a homophobe. And I was like, I love homes. I love living in them and I love staying in them. And I hope to own one day. Gay people kind of scare me. I learned that when someone says come over anytime, they don't mean make a copy of my house key. Some nuggets of knowledge. I also learned that even though it's hard to start a campfire, it's like super easy to start a house on fire. Last night I dreamt that I was the last man on Earth, and I was still feverishly checking Facebook. One time I was using a GPS and I saw that there was like this weird setting called the girlfriend setting. Thought it would be kind of cool to select it, so I did, and it was for like the first couple of weeks. She was like, turn left here, sweetheart. And this heart appeared and turned the direction I need to go. And a couple weeks later, she was like, turn left now, turn left now, turn left then. Like, stop and ask for directions, you're lost. GPS. Started tweaking out. I'm like, what's wrong with you? And she's like, if you don't know, I'm not gonna tell you. All right. I am single. That's how that joke is. There was another setting. I was a little too scared to select it. I wasn't sure what I would do to myself. It was called the elderly setting. Like, I was just worried about what it entailed. Like, you punch in the coordinates and it tells you what was there 50 years ago. Like, halfway to your destination, it shuts off and you can't turn it back on. I decided that I was gonna start sitting down when I pee. There's like no health benefits to it, I just need 2 thumbs to text. Faster at that. Oh man, you're gonna hate this one. I watched a TV commercial the other day, which kind of perked my interest. It was a toilet paper commercial. And I always find those interesting because they always want to show me how durable their product is by cleaning up water. I've never pooped water before. In fact, if I do poop water, probably don't need your product. So, if you want to show me how durable your product is, what you should clean up is bean dip. From the seam of an open book, which is... All right, this is a homeless joke set. That's my, that was my plug for you guys to get some concessions. That was the last one. Try the nachos. I was in school a couple years ago and I learned about the technological singularity. If you guys know about that, it's this idea that technology and man will someday merge. And the guy giving the lecture said that, you know, if this happens someday, we can see babies being given cell phone implants. And as soon as I heard that, I was like, oh man, I hope that never happens. Because I've never met a single person in this world that hasn't dropped their cell phone. You think about like how casual you talk about dropping your cell phone, like I'd hate for those things to be said about babies, and you're like, yeah, it's a little dinged up and slow, but we like it. The other day I dropped it in the toilet, threw in a bag of rice, good as new, good as new. Why was your baby? Babies scare me, so I make that joke. One time I was driving, I saw this PSA billboard. It said, don't shake your baby in anger. I was like, that's good. But do you have to specify an emotion? How about just don't shake your baby? How about we start with that? Because it scares me, like there's different ways. Like I got to meet my 4-month-old niece for the first time a couple months ago, and she was so beautiful and cute, and I held her in my arms because I was too scared to hold her to my chest. She was just staring at me, and her head was bobbling, and in my head I thought, how hard would I have to, well, I should probably give this back and just ever hold babies, ever. Because look at me, I'm not very good around kids. You know, like I watched this mom play the I'm gonna get you game with her kid on the train. I'm like, I could never play that game because it would just look too serious with me. I'm like, I'm going to get you. Scary. And I don't know anything about kids, absolutely nothing. I had a coworker talking about her sister's kid. And she was like, oh, the doctor thought he was gonna be premature, but the baby came out 6'12", so we don't know what the doctor was talking about. And I was like, man, I'm really bad at math, but that's like 7 feet tall. Like, how off was that doctor? It's like, congratulations, you have a point guard. That's the only thing in that kid's future. Kids, I don't like teenagers. Are there teenagers here? No, I talk because their complaints are so weird to me. Like they complain about the dumbest stuff. It's like listening to two complain about their life, and one was like, oh man, my dad took my cell phone away. I think I'm gonna die. It's like, how fragile is your life, man? And at that moment, I wish like a 21st century teen could talk to a 12th century teen. And the 12th century teens complain with the 12th century teens like, I think I'm gonna die. Of the plague. Pocket full of posies. LOL, which is a 12th century term, if you guys don't know about that. I wasn't feeling well a couple weeks ago, so I logged on to WebMD, typed in my symptoms. It turns out that I'm pregnant. Which I did notice I didn't switch over to the gender. So I switch over to the gender. The good news is I'm not pregnant. I have a parasite. It's just weird how closely related those things are. So I had to go to the doctor for this issue. And go to the doctor. The doctor walks in looking at my file. And he's like, Mr. Fonokalafi, are you concerned at all about how much you weigh? Well, now I am. Thank you for that concern. He starts telling me these diets I could try to lose some weight. He calls one the grazer diet. He's like, eat 5 meals a day instead of 3. It boosts your metabolism. You start cutting some weight. Oh. Well, I'm not sure if you noticed, Doc, I'm already on that diet. That's why we're here. I get irritated when people tell me what I should eat, what my diet should be. Like, when did it become socially acceptable for people to just tell me, like, what it should be? I had this lady come up to me and just tell me, like, oh, I buy pants 2 sizes too small, and I see it as a goal. It's like, I do something similar like that. I buy pants 2 sizes too big, so I feel good about myself. And it is working. It is. Talking to this girl named April, who's a vegetarian. Just stupid. She was like, animals have feelings too. I was like, yeah, they also have great taste, so until that changes. She's like, yeah, have you ever even eaten a salad? I was like, yeah, but it's inside a hamburger. That's where that belongs. I didn't surprise her though. I actually did a 6-month vegetarian diet. Just dead silence, that's the correct response. It was great. I did for 6 months straight. I ate nothing but vegetarians. Which have more meat in them than I thought they would. But I love food. That's one of my problems. I love food a ton. And I'm noticing though that when you love food, there's certain things you have to accept, things you might not like. Like I love Cheetos. Cheetos are my favorite food, the best food in the universe. But they make your hands orange and make you look sloppy. But Cheetos are interesting. It's like that second chance food. You just rub your hands together and it's like, boom, bonus Cheeto. It's not sick. It's not. It's science. I heard it. I heard you over there. tell you about my day job a little bit. I have a day job. Because I'm Polynesian, I've been gifted with this face, this very angry looking face constantly, so getting in trouble for looking mean. And as my boss told me, she's like, you need to be nicer, Josh. You need to clean up your attitude. So I've been trying. The other day I had a coworker mouthing off to me, and in my head I thought, don't make me knife you. But I caught it, and I was like, whoa, Josh, knives are dangerous. You should think about something else. And so I looked around the room, and the first thing I saw was a spoon. So the threat came out, don't make me, have you ever just like started a sentence? Realize you shouldn't say it? Don't make me spoon you, that's how I thought I said it. But my brain curved the word up. It was like, don't make me spoon you? Like, it curved the word up like it was like, really, mouth? That's what you went with? And I heard it when I said it, and I tried to cover myself. I was like, no, I don't mean like, oh, I mean like, oh. It was too late. And the good news is I'm not in trouble for being threatening anymore. I do have to take 6 months of sexual harassment training. They told a coworker I was gonna forcibly cuddle her from behind. The way I phrased it, I was gonna be whispering the whole time, you brought this on yourself. It's just weird. Why did you say that? I recently went to Colorado with a couple of friends. We went to go hang out in the woods for some reason. Before they let you, it was bear season when we went. I didn't know that, or else I wouldn't have gone. Right? But I went, and we had to watch this bear training video. And the guy in the video was like, if you run into a bear in the woods, which is rare, there's 2 things you can do. And he says the first one is the most common, most popular, is to play dead. Just lay down and play dead. Which I figure is because everyone knows about bears' natural fear of being framed for murder. Like when a bear walks up on a body that's already dead, he's like, hey, buddy, how you doing? Oh, no, that's Doug. I'm get out of here. Why is he still there? They're usually gone. It's back and forth until you disappear. The second thing he says is he goes, if you run into a bear, make yourself look big. And I was like, make myself look big. So apparently I've been overeating my entire life, which make myself bear-proof. I know what he meant. He meant like to stick your arms out in the air and puff out your chest to make yourself look bigger, right? Maybe you start thinking like, do they tell baby bears to do this when they're growing up? Like when their cubs are like walking by their parents and they're like, well, what if I run into a Polynesian in the woods? The adult bear's like, it's rare. It's really rare. If you run into a Polynesian in the woods, make yourself look big. That's what he told them, I guess, because I ran into a bear in the woods. We were both just like, oh! We sat there for 10 minutes. Then I threatened to spoon him, and he was like, oh, no. Which I guess that brings me to my next obvious point. I am a big person. And don't get me wrong, like I like being a big person because there's certain perks to being big. Like I like the fact that every time I walk into a room, everyone seems to think that I'm hungry. I had to explain to him, no, this is the end result of hunger. This is after. There are those pet peeves, though. There's things I don't like. Like, I hate the fact that every time I meet a girl, she just let me know about that one friend she has. Like, every girl I meet's like, oh, I got a friend that's a little bit bigger than you. So you want to wrestle? Not sure why that's pertinent information. What is my response supposed to be? Like, what do I say back? Like, that's cool. I have a few friends, but cuter than you. They always think I'm like gonna be a bodyguard for them, like a big protector or something. They're always like, it's cool that we're walking around downtown at night, because if a guy comes at us with a gun, we got Josh here. Yeah, I can't fight a bullet. And I'm pretty sure if a guy pulls a gun on us, I'm just gonna give him you and run. He is not there for me, is what I'm saying. I also decided recently I don't like the we. I don't like the we because I'm a bigger dude and the we is judgmental. Like, I was playing tennis one day and the we popped up and it was like, maybe you should take a break. And I was like, no, continue. And it's like, are you sure? And it shows a picture of my fat wee man sweating profusely in the corner. Then they invented the Wii Fit, which is the scale that you sync up to your console that throws your weight up on the TV so then everyone can judge you. I play with my friends, and like, Tammy, you weigh 112 pounds, or John, you weigh 215, and I step on it and it goes, ow, 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 ow. No pandas! It's because it's Japanese. Shows a picture of my fat wee man. He's like, bonus Cheeto. I've also been getting irritated with people that think they're complimenting me when they're not. Like lately I've been hearing that I look kind of like The Rock. It's a thing. It's a real thing that people say to me, right? Say it's like right here. They're like, yeah, you look kind of like The Rock. Like if he gave up, you look like that version of him. Some random dude walked up to me on the street one time and he was like, dude, you are huge. I was like, yeah, I own mirrors, man, I know. So you fell down, you take out like 7 or 8 people. That is not a compliment, sir. That makes me a little nervous to trip now, thank you very much. For that. I also discovered recently that I'm a little too big for theme park rides, which is kind of sad because you outgrow clothes, you just buy a new wardrobe, right? But you outgrow an entire theme park. So you have to reevaluate certain decisions you made in your life. I discovered that because I went on this roller coaster, just because it dips and like turns all these sharp corners, it has the safety measures playing on a loop on the overhead, and I memorized one of them. It was, don't straddle the middle bar. I said it like 8 or 9 times. Don't straddle the middle bar, just over and over. So I got in the ride and I found out that the length between my heel and my knee was too long and I couldn't get the lap bar closed. I looked at the girl running the ride and I was like, oh, I get off the ride, I don't need to ride this thing. And she gets in really close and she looks me right in my face and said, that's okay, straddle the middle bar. It's funny now. Just got off the ride and I was like, thank you very much. So important that I wrote this. So what is this other ride that just like spins around in circles really fast? They lower the security bars from above, like it presses on your chest, right? So I got it ready to ride. Guy comes over the intercom, trick number 12. I'm like, oh man, I hope I'm number 11. Trying to count seats. They sent this little girl named Maria up to shove on the bar, try to get to that last click. A really important click. It wasn't working, so I looked at her and I was like, why get off this ride? I really don't need to ride this thing. And she's like, that's okay, we don't like to embarrass people. continue doing CPR then, because this is so rad. But it wasn't working, so she like shrugged her shoulders at the box. Guy comes back over, get Corey over there. So now there are two people trying to shove me into this ride. Just leaning back the whole time, thinking to myself, man, this is way less embarrassing than having me leave the ride. Just kept imagining myself walking down the exit and being like, I'm okay, I'm great, I'm awesome. It still wasn't working. Just like both shrugging their shoulders at the box. Guy comes back over. Just let it go. Just let it go. Just let me off the ride. That's all I wanted. It's like the scariest experience of my life. I kept holding on to the security bars and I kept thinking to myself, if I fly out here, I'm gonna take out like 7 or 8 people. I could do that. All right, I'm Josh Fonokalafi. That's my time. Thank you very much.